I'm Lauren Salimbene, Miss Volunteer America 2026, and this is my interview with the Pageant Project.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Pageant Project. My very special guest for today is Miss Volunteer America 2026, Lauren Salimbene. Lauren, welcome to the show. How are you?
I am so good. I'm so excited. Thank you for having me.
What has your day been like? I've been watching, obviously, all the interviews you've been doing. I feel like you're coming for my job. Should I be worried?
No, you should not be worried at all. To be so honest, it is so different to host an interview rather than be an interviewee. And so I honestly, when I first stepped into doing these Crown Talks and carrying the legacy that Alexa Knutson, the first inaugural Miss Volunteer America, started, I was so scared because I had only done the one that Berkeley had interviewed me. And let's just say I don't foresee being a podcaster or an interviewer in my future. It has been definitely very challenging and has stretched me in a lot of ways, but I'm not coming for your job. It is very safe, just forewarning.
What's hard about it? You just get on the thing and you yap. Surely that's not difficult for you, right?
Surely, but I swear sometimes, like, a girl will be saying something, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this is a perfect question." Immediately after she ends her answer, I'm like, "I don't even remember what I was gonna ask you." And so I have to, like, live for 2 seconds, or sometimes I look like I'm, like, paused because I can't remember what I was gonna say. Honestly, it's way harder to host than it is to interview, in my opinion.
My secret weapon is this and a piece of paper. And then if I have a question, I jot it down, because otherwise there's no way that I'm going to remember it after the person has been speaking for 5 minutes. This is my secret weapon.
Well, thanks for telling me it this far along. We're halfway done, but, catch me
How many
taking notes
more?
next time.
How many more do you have to go?
I actually have no idea. I feel like we're roughly about halfway. We have about 25 more girls left, and
Wow.
it's weird that it's to that point, but we're getting close.
I need to check in. How are you feeling at this stage? So what is it, 2 months? I mean, do you actually have the number in your head as to how many days it is before you have to do the whole handover thing?
Yeah, I'm actually very sad because I only get 364 days. I don't get a whole year. And so
You got
I've low-key been salty about it.
right.
But
You want an extra day.
yesterday marked my 10-month mark. And then the day before that was officially 2 months until I give it up. So definitely
Wow.
bittersweet. To be honest, I haven't been in the pageant world for that long. Miss Volunteer America, the pageant itself, was my fourth pageant ever. And I had my first pageant winning was Miss Utah Volunteer. So I have not been a title holder for very long. And so honestly, to say that giving up a national title in 2 months, it's really hard for me. I've never really given up a title because when I gave up Miss Utah Volunteer, I was still Miss Volunteer America at the end of the day. And so I don't really know how I'm going to cope. I'm definitely feeling it right now just because we're in the final home stretch of things and I'm starting to plan what my life is going to look like afterwards. And it's weird. It's definitely a change. I feel like I'm going through a midlife crisis at 20 years old, but we're going to figure it out and see what's next.
Do you have any ideas as to how to plan your life after the crown? I mean, if you've been Miss Volunteer America for 364 days, then you were Miss Utah Volunteer before that, and then you're still so young, it's going to feel super weird, I would imagine, not having a title all of a sudden.
Yeah, I mean, for the past year and a half, that's kind of been my whole focal point, but I have actually remained full time in school. So I'm currently a sophomore right now, and I am definitely going to continue pursuing the educational route of things. My my big picture of what I might be doing next, I'm actually in the process of registering and applying for a semester at sea. So my thought process is I've traveled the country for the past year and now I'm going to go travel the world. I am fluent in Mandarin. I grew up learning Mandarin, and so this opportunity would actually let me go to Hong Kong and officially visit China, which has been a lifelong dream of mine. So we're praying that that's kind of next. I think that'll get my mind off it for at least 3 months while I'm on a cruise ship in the middle of the ocean, but we'll see. We'll see if how that turns out and really how that all plays. I don't really know.
I was someone booked in for a pageant coaching session, and she's an American, but she was in Gothenburg in Sweden on a cruise ship because she was working on a cruise ship. I think that was the strangest location I've ever had a pageant coaching session with.
Yeah.
You're fluent in Mandarin. Okay. I'm not. I'm going to put that out
Okay.
there. I speak Cantonese. I understand Cantonese, but not Mandarin.
Okay.
But I have seen some people on the TikTok, and they are Caucasians like yourself, and then they're speaking to a Chinese person, and then they just bust out the fluent Mandarin, and the look of shock on the Chinese person's face is just something else. So just for my own benefit, I'm not saying that I don't believe you, but I don't think I've ever met a white person who's fluent. I don't think I've ever met anyone who's not Chinese who's fluent in Mandarin. So can you just say something for me in
Yeah,
Mandarin?
of course. 大家好，我的名字是罗兰，从幼儿园到12年级，我练习中文。我现在是美国小姐证明者。
How can I recognize a few of the sounds? How are you able to make these sounds? So Mandarin, the hardest thing for me, even counting from 1 to 10, san. Then that next word for 4, I could never pronounce that, make that sound. Yeah, because I think of it from an English background. It's like, how would I spell it? But how are you able to make those sounds? Or did you find it difficult?
I actually didn't find it difficult. I started learning in kindergarten. So I was in a Chinese immersion program. So half of my day was in English, half of it was in Chinese. My instructors were actually sent from China, and I was not allowed to speak English in these classes. So from kindergarten through 6th grade, half of it was English, half of it was Chinese. And every year it would alternate. So like in 1st grade, let's say, I would be learning Chinese, obviously, but then I would be learning science in my Chinese class and then math in my English. And then the next year it would switch. So I'd be learning math in my Chinese class and science in my English class. So then when I got to junior high, it was very unique because I have 7 courses. Obviously, my science is no longer in Chinese anymore, it's in English. And so it was honestly a learning curve, recognizing that I understand the material, but I don't understand what on earth the words are in English in my native language was
Right.
definitely a curveball thrown at me. But yeah, so then I took the AP exam in 9th grade, passed it, and then I was eligible to take college courses throughout high school. And I graduated with the Seal of Biliteracy through the state of Utah. So definitely been a lifelong thing. In college, it's weird because I'm at like the highest level. They don't really have courses for me to take. And so I haven't really been able to speak it as much as I would like, but I think that this semester at sea opportunity would be perfect for me to actually go and live in the culture that I've learned for so long, but never
Yeah.
actually been able to embody and be in person. So crossing our fingers, it works out.
That's so odd, though. So you'd be in a science class and you'd know like the Chinese word for a piece of equipment, but you wouldn't know it in English.
Yeah, and like I remember in 6th grade we were learning about the solar system, and we were learning about the planets, and we were learning about, you know, we would learn about the equator on the earth and like all these random things that I knew in Chinese and I knew them like the back of my hand.
Yeah.
And I would go to, I mean, 7th grade, I was in my science class and I was like, I never really knew that that was the term for it, but that's cool. So definitely a learning curve and a unique experience, but
Is this a having half of your education, by the sounds of it, in Chinese, is this an experience that's unique to just where you're at? Because I've never heard anyone else going through a similar experience in the States.
Utah is, I mean, Utah's pretty unique if ever anyone knows anything about Utah, but um, I would say there's a lot of immersion schools around the state. My school was one of the first to have the Chinese immersion program. Like the 2 grades above me was like the first ever Chinese immersion class.
Wow. Okay.
But now there's so many different schools that have Spanish immersion or they have French immersion. So honestly, in Utah, I think it's pretty common. There's some schools that don't have it at all, but there's a select few that have a lot of options for immersion courses. I actually have never met anyone that has been in the similar experience unless they're from the state
Yeah.
of Utah, but maybe it is unique to us. I have no idea.
Do you know anything about Chinese food? I think this is the most important question because we're a pageant interview. Have you ever had genuine Chinese food?
Yes, I've made genuine Chinese food. So like I said, the instructors were sent from China,
Right.
and so I wasn't only immersed in the language, I was truly immersed in the culture of things. When I was in junior high, I took a Chinese course that was like teaching me Chinese, the language, and then I had a Chinese culture class.
Right.
So some fun days, me and my professors, we would just make dumplings, and they would like we would actually make it the way that they make it and eat like a family around a table. And then I think my senior year, we actually took a trip, like a school trip to Chinatown in Salt Lake City. And that is like where they actually have things from China. And we were able to speak with the people there, which definitely shocked them that a bunch of
Yeah.
18-year-olds
Yeah.
who look like they don't know anything about anything just walk in and just start rambling in Chinese, trying to finish this. Like, we had this assignment where we had to find certain foods and certain things. And so, yeah, I think that came to a surprise for them. But I actually have made traditional Chinese food. So,
This is blowing my mind. How good are your dumplings? They're quite tricky to get the handle of, but I feel like once you've done a few and you get in the groove, then it becomes very automatic. And I don't know in your experience, Lauren, when you were making it, whether you would have conversations whilst you were making them, because from my experience, it's almost been a bonding experience making the dumplings because you all sit around the table and you're all doing it together and you get to chat. So, what was the dumpling process like for yourself?
yes, we were definitely talking the whole time. Me and my friends, actually everyone, would always get in trouble because it's really hard to not speak any English, especially just there's
Yeah.
sometimes some certain word that you're like, I can't even think of what that word would be, just
Yeah.
because the languages are so different. And so, um, speaking in terms when you're trying to concentrate making a dumpling is extremely hard, trying to think of a whole different language. But we did talk through it, and my dumplings were not the prettiest. I will say I don't have it's not in my
Okay.
blood, so I'm trying
Yeah,
to force it into my blood at this point.
that's fair enough. How
And
are
I've
your
never tried to make them outside of class. I wouldn't dare. So,
that I mean, look, I understand it. I mean, I'm still impressed by the fact that you can speak it fluently. How Final question on this subject anyway. How are your chopstick skills?
oh, they're phenomenal. They're so
Good.
good, and I love sushi. My no one in my family except my older sister does, and so I will say I'm the master of my family at using chopsticks.
Right, because I've seen some people trying to use chopsticks and it's very sad. They've gotten to
Yeah,
that point where they say they can use chopsticks
they
and they're
just stab
literally
it.
doing this.
Yeah.
It's like that, guys. That's not using chopsticks. If you ever want a challenge, and let's say you're bored after you hand over your title, try picking up an ice cube with a pair of chopsticks. I kid you not. That'll keep you entertained for about 6 hours.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
now I'm intrigued. So,
Okay. Or a single pea on a plate, and try
that
picking that
yeah,
up.
that might be harder than a grain of rice.
Yeah, no, someone on TikTok made me do it, and I thought, oh, it's going to be super easy, and I was stuck there for about 15 minutes trying to pick up this one thing. It didn't go well. I'm going to show you. Let's switch tacks. I'm going to take you back to, well, as you said, 10 months ago, if I can find it. Have you watched back your crowning moment?
Yes, when I was giving up my title as Miss Utah Volunteer, they had a whole I mean, because Utah has 3 national titles, title holders, we have a whole thing that shows saying that this could be you, and I definitely cried before I walked on stage. It's surreal watching it back, to be honest, because I don't remember the moment. I was just in so many emotions at the time. So, but it's been a long time because I can't really bear to bear to watch it.
Well, I'm going to make you watch it now. Aren't you so glad you turned up to this interview?
So
So
glad.
we'll watch it through together with the sound, and then I'll play it back, and you can narrate it for us. Let's see if this works.
Ladies ladies and gentlemen, one of these young women is the winner of a $50,000 scholarship. She will serve as a national partner with St. Jude Children's Research.
Can I ask, do you remember what you were mumbling to with your first runner-up there? You're saying something.
I just said, I love you. That's all I said.
Hospital and be a national brand ambassador for the Salvation Army. She will be the official spokesperson for the Miss Volunteer America program. But first, the winner of an $8,000 scholarship and first runner-up, Miss California Volunteer Sahana Kumar.
Do you remember anything of what you were thinking at this stage, Laura?
No. I actually don't remember a thing at all. I remember, I don't even think I heard like California being called. I think immediately I just started crying. Like it was like my body knew, but my brain had no idea. And tears just started streaming. Like I really couldn't tell you what was going through my brain at this moment.
When did you regain consciousness?
The next morning. To be honest, to be so honest, and Scott Hilborn will tell you this exact story. After I won, I'm on stage getting pictures with so many people I don't even know. And he kept asking me the whole night when security was walking me through or when I was at the Queen's Ball. He was just like, how are you feeling? And I'm just like, good. That was literally all I said. I'm like, I'm okay. I'm good.
I'm okay.
The whole night. And I'm just sitting there teasing, just smiling. We get back to the hotel. They walk me in my queen room, right? And I'm sitting on the bed. His sister takes a picture of me holding my crown, laying on the bed. And I stand up and he goes, Lauren Salimbene, how are you feeling? And I said, I'm Miss Volunteer America. And he goes, I've been waiting the whole night for you to say that.
So
I don't know what this girl was thinking in her brain, and I wish I could relive it. I remember when I was right about now, I praised the Lord, and that was the only thing I remember was me just thanking Jesus, and I think that was the only thing I remember from the whole crowning experience.
It almost sounds like when you guys describe your crowning moments, and I'm sure it's a bit surreal watching it back, it almost sounds like it's a traumatizing moment for some of you. If you literally don't remember any of it, you black out and you're crying the whole time. It sounds slightly traumatizing.
Slightly traumatizing. No, it definitely is just so the adrenaline at that point. If you actually watch back at the video when me and California are holding hands and you look at our chests, we are breathing so heavily. The adrenaline is pumping faster than probably as if you're about to fall off a cliff. It is genuinely, I cannot describe the feeling. I felt like I was shaking like a chihuahua, to be honest. And so honestly, I think the fact that the sense of relief, automatically your brain goes blank, to be honest.
What was it like the days after? Because everyone sees what happens on stage.
Yeah.
Not everyone's had the amazing opportunity to be crowned a major national title holder. But what's it like the first few days afterward? Because obviously there's a huge adrenaline spike whilst you're competing. And then generally the bigger the spike, the bigger the crash afterward. But you may have not had a chance to even crash. So when was your first chance, Lauren, to sort of just kick off the heels, so to speak, relax, take it all in? And what was that like?
I don't know if I've ever really had the chance to kick off the heels just because I've truly been diving headfirst into everything, just never really wanting this experience to end. But I do. So the next day I woke up giddy as ever. I went and I got the first thing we did was go do a interview downstairs at the DoubleTree, one of our incredible sponsors. And then I got to go with Scott and Allison to lunch. And then I got to go get my prizes and get my, official portraits done. And so that part was definitely when it was officially clicking. And I don't think it's ever going to actually hit me that I actually won until I'm about to give up the title, to be honest. It doesn't feel real Wearing the sash
Right.
doesn't feel real. Nothing, it never feels real, to be honest. But I think that's when I was kind of like, okay, I'm ready to do the 90-day plan that I had been set
Yeah.
out that I said that
Yeah.
I was going to do. The first time I really got to just be Lauren and officially be like Miss Volunteer America and Lauren was actually the day after that when I was about to check out of the hotel. Um, I mean, I grew up in a very service-oriented home, and so this is gonna sound very performative, like, I'm just trying to say this, but I grew up in a very service-oriented home, and so I've been just so fortunate with the life that I've been given, so service is on my mind a lot, to be honest, which is
Yeah.
why the volunteer system was so perfect for me.
Sure.
But, I mean, after you win, you get a billion flowers. I got a billion flowers from my supporters throughout the whole week, and then after I won, obviously, I have even more, and so it smelled like a florist shop in my hotel room, to be honest with you, and I loved it. Like, if I could smell like that every day, I would. But I'm getting ready to fly home, and I'm like, "I cannot take all these flowers and all
Yeah.
these beautiful vases home with me." There's absolutely no rhyme or reason why I could do that, how I could do that. So, I'm sitting there with my mom as we're planning to go to the movie theater because she just wanted to go watch a movie. I said, "Okay,
Sure.
whatever." So,
Yeah.
that moment, I was really like, "Okay, I'm back to Lauren, I'm back to normal life." My mom wants to go watch a movie with me and my family. And I was like, "Well, can we just look up some nursing homes around here just to so we can not just throw these flowers away?"
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it was like my first official appearance as Miss Volunteer America, but it felt so Lauren to be able to bring those flowers to those women at the nursing home who, so many people just throw their flowers away at the end or leave them at the hotel. And I just felt like the
Yeah.
one thing that I could do was give back to the city that's obviously given me so much this past week and will continue the whole year. And so I got to go as Miss Volunteer America, but mostly I got to go as Lauren to give up Lauren's flowers for these women. And so that sounds very performative. I know it does, but it was something that was so sentimental to me and was just such a like a monumental piece of my week being
Yeah.
crowned was being able to
Yeah.
bring those flowers to those women and be Lauren doing that.
I want to ask because I think whenever anyone has a heart of service, and you've mentioned performative, and I understand why you're saying that, and sometimes that does happen. Obviously, in your case, it's not. I always like to know why. Why is service so important to you? So, was it something that was, by the sound of it, instilled in you at a very young age, and it was part of like your family DNA that every day, every Sunday, or whatever it was, you were encouraged to think of how can I give back?
Yeah, so this is actually kind of a little bit of a sob story, so I apologize, but, I actually originally was born in Pennsylvania, lived in Texas, and when I was about 4 years old, my father abandoned my family. And so my mom I have 3 older sisters, and so my mom had 4 children. She was a stay-at-home mom most of like, all my life and most of, her marriage, she was a stay-at-home mom, and so
Yeah.
it was a very drastic, monumental moment in our lives. And my grandma lives in Utah. So my mom used the last of her $6,000 and
Wow.
used it to move us to Utah. And thankfully, my grandma was actually selling the current house that I live in. And we were able to stop selling and I was able to move into it. It was just fortunate enough, but I was
Yeah.
low key on the verge of homelessness at 4 years old. And I I know what that feels like. And so that my birthday is on Christmas. I'm kind of throwing out all these details. So my birthday is on Christmas. And that Christmas, we have a car that broke down probably every week on us. And we'd always have to go to the shop in the pouring rain and we'd have to walk there like so traumatic, right? So awful. And this Christmas, my mom was just like, what can we do to just kind of give back a little bit more? And there's a rescue mission of Salt Lake that was feeding the homeless and giving them like coats and
Mm.
clothes on Christmas morning, and you could serve them meals. So my mom signed us up. And Christmas morning, it was an absolute blizzard because if you know anything about Utah, winters are crazy, except for
Yeah.
apparently this winter. But um, they're crazy. And we had so much snow. We live about 15 miles away from Salt Lake, and we have this car that breaks down every single week. But my mom just said, I just think we need to go. So we went, and little 6-year-old me, 5-year-old me is going and serving these homeless people. And I remember two stories that drastically changed my life, there was a little kid who was a little bit younger than me, and he was showing off his quarter that he got for Christmas. Now, mind you, I wasn't born in the 1970s. A quarter is not monumental at all, right? A quarter is a quarter in today's economy. And so for him to show me a quarter and be so excited about it, as I'm a little kid who, while I might have had a hard upbringing, I definitely did not have it that bad.
Yeah.
And then there was a man who walked in, and he was about my age right now. Actually, he was about 19, 20 years old. And he walked in his work clothes, was obviously shivering. He had icicles hanging from his beard and was just trying to warm up. And so my mom immediately walks up to him and is like, let me get you a coffee. Let me get you a warm meal. And she sends me to the coat closet to go get him some clothes, some pants, a shirt, a coat, some gloves. And we bring it over to him, and we walk away. Well, 2 minutes later, we look away we look back there, and he's gone. And so we felt that we had just embarrassed him, or we made him feel like, you need all this help, right? We felt like we had done something wrong. And so we were starting to feel bad. And like 15 minutes later, he walks in and he's dressed in the clothes. And that was just so monumental to me, because I am so fortunate. Despite the difficulties I've gone through, I wouldn't live the life I live today without those turmoils, without those trials that I've been through. And at the end of the day, we're all living for the first time, and we're all walking each other home. And so that moment to me as a 5-year-old was just so special, to be doing something so special on my birthday that made me feel a type of way that my family, we kept it as a tradition that every Thanksgiving and every Christmas we would just do that for the Rescue Mission of Salt Lake. And that's kind of where my love for service stemmed from. And so now working with the Salvation Army, I mean, I was an angel tree kid when I was little. And so being able to just give back in those ways has been I'm just so grateful for the life that I've lived, even though in the moment, I definitely was not thankful for what I was going through. And especially when you're living in a little bit of an affluent area and you see kids being kids and being given things that kids want and need and all the things, it's hard. But at the end of the day, I don't have it as bad as some people, and there's always more to do. So that's why volunteer was something that was just so special to me, and my heart has truly grown from this organization, but my heart aligned with it in the first place.
Can you tell me a bit more about the woman your mother is? I know that you and maybe your mom have had the misfortune of watching our podcast, and we sometimes go off piece. But we did have, for International Women's Day, we talked about the importance that our mothers have played in our lives. And both Haley and Morgan come from families that the single mother was very important for a large part of their lives. And Haley's mother in particular, I know that she studied, she made the way to keep paying the house so they wouldn't be homeless. Morgan looks up to her mum in a very similar way. And, even for myself, coming from a family that is not, separated or anything like that, even for myself, the mother doing everything, outworking everyone and then still being mum. And there's something different, I think, about how important a mother can be in a young child's life. How can you put into words, Lauren? This is completely unfair. Can you put into words who your mum is for you and the relationship that you two have?
Yeah, so as cliched as it is, my mom is my best friend. She is someone who has never put the belief in me that I can't accomplish anything I put my mind to. And so I would say I'm a very driven person. I go for my goals. I am a firm believer that the world rewards audacity, not just potential. And so she's always been someone that chases my dreams. Like right now, this semester at sea thing that I'm trying to get into, I am a little late to the game because I didn't even know semester at sea was a thing, but it just spoke to me when I found out about it. So I'm on the side of applying for all the scholarships I can and trying to make it work, trying to get everything submitted. And instead of tearing me down, she's very much the person that's like, if you want it bad enough, you have all the tools to make it happen. And so that's just the type of person she's been. She's been extremely selfless. I didn't get a car until I was 18 years old when I was graduating high school. And it's hard because I was a dancer. I was dancing 25 hours a week. I had drill at 6 a.m. in the morning. I would get up at 4:45 every morning. My mom would get up with me. She would drive me to drill. She would go to work. I would have dance right after school. And so if I don't have a ride, my mom would let me borrow her car. Like it was she's a very selfless person. She
Mm,
was working 2 jobs all of my life just to get things to go by. And we are definitely in a better spot now than we were. But
sure.
I mean, obviously, in this economy, things are still hard. And she is just so selfless, so supportive of me. And I think if I can even be a fragment of a person she is, I will be successful in my life. And that's just my mom.
Is audacity your favorite word?
I do love audacity.
What when it comes to doing something like a big pageant, and a lot of people they have big goals, but I don't think they ever really allow themselves to believe that it will happen. What is your thought process like? So when you enter the pageant, and you said that you're a bit newer to the pageant scene, but I'm just curious, when you enter it, do you have that belief that yes, I'm going to go all the way, or do you just enter it and go, I'm going to give it my best, and look, tell, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans, sort of situation? Like, which way do you go?
Um, Now I don't here's the thing about me is if I think I'm gonna win, I never win. If I don't think I'm gonna win, I always win. That's the weird thing about me.
Okay. All
So,
right.
but I am a type of person that I'm not gonna do something that I don't see myself being able to do. So I wouldn't enter a
Right.
pageant not thinking that I could win it. Does that make sense?
Right.
I'm
Yep.
never My mom actually always told me to stop wasting my potential simply because I don't feel ready enough. And I feel like I've
Mm,
lived that to be true. I will go into something knowing that I'm fully capable of accomplishing it. And if I want it bad enough, I can make it happen. But I don't go in thinking I have this in the bag. I'm just going to win the whole dang thing. Like that's never been my thought process
yeah.
through things. And it's actually kind of funny that you mentioned that. So, my first step into the pageant world, I was in the teen category. My first pageant ever. I've never done a local pageant. I've only gone to state. And so I
Yeah.
did in the American system, I competed for Miss Utah's teen and we did not know what we were doing, but I placed in the top 8 out of 40 girls and I received the interview award and the onstage question award. So I knew that somewhere in there I was good at networking, and that's
Yeah.
actually what drove me into the finance world of things, funny enough. But I got bit by the pageant bug because you just got so close to the little taste of victory, right? And so
Yeah.
then the next summer, I competed for Miss Utah Teen USA and received first runner up. And I thought I was going to take a little bit of a break because I was 18 years old. I was aging out and I was terrified to go into the Miss because I felt like in the teen category, you had a little bit of like a safety net. Um,
Right.
and
Yep.
it just didn't feel as real. I don't really know how to put it into the correct
Yeah.
terms, but it just didn't really feel as real as like a Miss pageant. And
Sure.
I previously had considered doing teen volunteer. It was just the same weekend as one of my dance competitions, so I never did it. And the Utah volunteer director came to my living room, sat down, and said, "I don't think you see yourself the way others see you." And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, whatever, right?" Like, I'm still 18 years old. And she's like, "Lauren, you
Yeah.
don't look like you're 18. You don't act like you're 18." Um, and so I was like, "Okay, I'll consider it, but don't think I'm going to do it." I'm a big motivational podcast girl. And so a couple weeks later, I'm listening to a podcast as I'm getting ready for school. And Dwayne The Rock Johnson comes on and says, "The thing you wanted most in life was the greatest thing that never happened." And I was thinking back to when I was competing at Miss Utah Teen USA, and I truly thought that that was meant for me. Again, I really thought I was going to win, and I did not win. And I just had the strongest feeling that that was meant for me. And then I was so close that I received first runner up, but there was just one thing that
Yeah.
I just didn't I wasn't the right person. And so that kind of hit me like a truck, like, okay, there's something else bigger out there, and God's gonna open the door for me if this is truly what is meant for me. So I texted the state director. I said, "Is this still a possibility for me to do?" Registration was closing in like 2 days. And she said, "Absolutely, get your
Right.
forms in." I said, "Right,
Yeah.
I'll do it." And did not think I was going to win. I was really just going in to see if the Miss was even a place for me or if I was
Sure.
just kind of still stuck in teen. And
Yeah.
I ended up winning. And in my interview at state, I did get the question of, you're going against girls who are 24 years old and you're 18. Why do you feel like you can do the job? And I just said, my age honestly does not define who I am. I said,
Yeah.
I'm this accomplished at this age. Imagine when I'm 24 years old, where I will be and what I can accomplish. And so
Yeah.
I think that right there was the kind of like winning answer for me. But then I went on to win Miss Volunteer America and found out actually that I could have done teen. The director just didn't want me to do teen.
Okay.
Because in the volunteer system, you can be 18 years old. I won
Yeah.
Miss Utah Volunteer when I was 18 years old, and my teen was 18 years old.
Right. Okay.
So they tricked me, but it ended up in my favor, so I'm not mad about it.
I was going to say, I mean, you probably can't be mad about the result.
No.
I mean, what are you going to say? I didn't want to win the Miss. I wanted to win the teen. I'm going to go
But
back.
I probably would have been so devastated had I not won, because I would have had the chance to like go again later. But it worked out in my favor, so I'm not mad about it. Honestly, I think Miss was perfect for me. I love being Miss Volunteer America,
Yeah.
and
Of course. Yeah.
you know, obviously it ended in the best case scenario.
Yeah. Can I ask, you sound like you're a kind of an odd mix of like huge audacity, but at the same time, maybe not seeing yourself in quite the same light, like what your director said. You sound like you're an odd mix. Like you really believe that absolutely you can do it, but then sometimes it's like you don't see yourself as I mean, you said it hasn't sunk in that you're Miss Volunteer America yet. So you're going around, everyone's looking at you as a massive role model, but I don't think it's actually seeped into your head yet.
No, it definitely has not. But there are those micro moments that you really feel like, oh my gosh, I Miss Volunteer America. And sometimes it does hit me. Like at the teen pageant, I was sitting in the office. Allison was right behind me working on her computer. I was about to go in for an interview, and I run over to Scott and I said, wait, so like I'm actually Miss Volunteer America. And he was like, yeah, Lauren, you've been Miss Volunteer America, but yes, you are. So there's sometimes where it will really hit me, or people will make the kindest posts about me and just say, give yourself a national title holder that does blah, blah, blah. And it is honestly the most humbling and most rewarding feeling, knowing that I am making a difference, even though sometimes I just feel like Lauren at the end of the day. I just feel like I'm a normal human being. But I think sometimes that actually keeps me grounded and keeps me extremely humble. Although my mom does get on me about my headspace, because sometimes it's really like I can just take on the world. I can champion anything. And sometimes it's like, oh, are you sure? It definitely depends on the day. But
I remember I saw a TikTok of yours. I can't remember when you posted it, but it was a TikTok of you, I think, changing the oil in your car.
My mom's car. That was my mom's car. But yes.
Right. As silly as it sounds, that was a thing out of anything that you posted. That was the thing that caught my eye the most, because it's like, this girl might be Miss Volunteer America, but look, she can actually get underneath the car and change oil. So she's a complete package. When did you do that?
So, okay. I am kind of a car fanatic. So my dad is a huge car enthusiast. I mean, he's worked for Ferrari and Porsche. So I grew up with him loving race cars. And really, it kind of stemmed into me. Didn't really foresee that happening. But when I was 18 years old and I got my first car, my car is actually a manual. So she's a stick shift. And
mine too. Mine too.
I love it. And everyone told me, they said, you're going to never want to drive an automatic car. And I was like, yeah, right. They're just so much more convenient. Well, I now never want to drive an automatic car. I will forever be looking for manual transmissions. But my senior year of high school, I actually took my auto shop class. And so I was like literally the only girl in the class, but I learned how to change my oil. I learned a car basically front to back on the parts, but then how to change your oil, how to change your tire, how to change your headlight, how to, look at the engine and see what you're looking. I know even how to change my spark plugs if it really came to it, but I don't think I would ever do that. But I can confidently work on my car and know what I'm looking at. Now I do drive a European car, and so those ones are the hardest to change the oil in. So my mom's was a Chevy, and that one was the reason why I videoed it, was because they're so easy. Versus my car, it's like getting the oil filter and getting the whole carriage on the bottom off. Like, it is a pain in the butt. So I
Yeah.
just decided to go the easier route and show everyone that I can change oil in a Chevy.
I thought it was still pretty impressive. You said that your dad is a car enthusiast. So has it gotten to the point with yourself that you have like a particular dream car that you would like to drive or own one day? Or we're not thinking that far? We're not that much of a car nut.
Um, well, the truth is that it kind of changes on a week-to-week basis. I drive a Fiat right now, and while they are a pain to work on, I actually really do like them. And so right now, it's not even like this car is so extremely nice and it's so just whatever, but I really want a Fiat Spider just because it's more of like a convertible,
Wow.
more of like a
Yeah.
it's just more
Yeah.
of a pretty Fiat. Mine is like an SUV, so it's a little bit bigger than those really, really
Okay.
small ones.
Yeah.
But the Spiders, they look more like a sports car. I mean,
Mm.
having a Porsche, having a Ferrari, like those are always really cool ones that I would love to have in the future. But if we're being a little more
Yeah.
realistic, a Fiat Spider might be my first big girl purchase.
Aren't Fiats notoriously unreliable? That's what I heard about all the Fiats, is that they break down all the time.
My car has never broken down. I actually just did have a problem with her, and the thing about the European cars is sometimes they will fix themselves, and they're like cars normally don't fix
Yeah.
themselves like that. But the
Right.
problem just will like go away. And so that was
Yeah.
happening to me for a really long time. And I mean, I would try to accelerate on the freeway, and it would take me, I kid you not, 5 minutes to get 70 miles an hour. And I was like, something is terribly wrong with my car. I don't know
Yeah.
what is happening. And I needed an oil change out of all things. It made
Really?
it hit off all the sensors, everything, just because I needed an oil change, even though I remember the last time I changed my oil and it was
Yeah.
not time to get an oil change, but apparently we desperately needed one.
Okay.
So I mean, my car has been perfectly reliable. I've had her for 2 years and she's a 2017, so she had a previous owner.
Okay.
I haven't had any drastic problems. I've never had her break down. That was the one
Okay.
thing that was like the most annoying thing ever, that I only needed an oil change and my car was like acting like it was dying, but you know.
Okay, I need to ask a slightly embarrassing question. You've mentioned that your car is a her several times, so I'm assuming she has a name.
No, she doesn't
No.
actually. I call her. I don't really know why, but she's pink, so actually I do know why. She's like
Okay.
a rose. She's like a rose gold. Some people will say she's not pink, but she definitely is pink. So,
Okay. You drive stick.
yes.
This is highly unusual with anyone of your age, even more so in America, because it's very hard to drink your coffee when you're driving stick.
Oh,
That's
I
what
can be a
found.
cheeseburger driving stick. You know, like people that say that,
Huh?
they're just
What?
uncoordinated.
Oh. Okay. This is the thing that has 3 pedals. You need to change the gears every time.
You
And
do,
you
but
need
it's
a
okay to
hand on
have
the
like if you have
steering
it
wheel.
in the but listen, if you have it in your hand and you just use your palm to shift, as long as you don't really need to go back, like if I need to go from like 3rd gear to 4th gear, yeah, that's a little
Okay.
tricky and I might just switch hands while
Okay.
I'm going, but
Okay.
I mean it's not
Right.
that hard.
Okay. I mean, look, I'm just going to say, Lauren, photo or it didn't happen. But what I was
I'll do
going
a
to
vlog.
ask,
I'll do a whole vlog on me driving.
I can sort of picture it in my head, but I have to ask. I'm probably going to hate you for this. My first experience driving a stick was not confidence building. I got stuck on a hill going up, and when you're in your sticks, I don't know about yours, but if you can't get it into gear, then you start rolling backwards, and the people behind you don't like that. Were
Well,
you
people
like
go so
perfect
slow
from the
up the
get-go?
hills.
Well, I wanted to do the most difficult thing first, but how was your first experience? Like, how long did it take you to learn how to drive stick?
Okay. Honestly, about 2 days.
Yes,
Like
please.
it wasn't awful. My first experience was very discouraging because I would get to
Yeah.
2nd gear and automatically stall.
Yes.
And I mean, the amount of times I stalled, it's so humiliating, especially when I was like going to school and there's traffic coming this way. I'm trying to turn in and I stall right as I'm about to get into the parking lot. So then the person
Oh,
behind
that's
me,
the
the
best.
whole line behind me is irritated that I can't get into the parking lot.
Yep.
I'm stuck in the middle of the road. So very humbling. But Honestly, like, it took me about 2 days to actually be able to, like, drive on a road feeling a little bit
Right.
confident. Um, However, I did stall a lot in the first phase of things. I can confidently say it's been a long time since I've stalled, but it was
Okay.
discouraging. I did shed some tears, but I don't remember it being so, like, traumatic.
Okay. How long before you mastered the eating the hamburger or the cheeseburger at the same time? How long did that take?
Probably about 6 months. I don't feel like I even tried to eat or, like, drink anything while I was driving, unless I was on the freeway going a pretty constant speed, then I might get a little sip, but I don't think I even tried because I was just so focused. Like, I used to have to look at my speed and go, "Okay, now I can shift," whereas now I just feel it
Yeah.
and, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. So you don't think you're ever going to go back to automatic by the sounds of it?
I don't want to because my whole vision is that in my future, my husband can have the reliable, like, car that can go on the road trips. I mean, he can
Right.
have a nice car, but it can be automatic. It can go on the road trips. It
Yeah.
can be comfy because anytime I'm with him, he'll probably be driving anyways. And then I can
Hmm.
have the fun sports car that is just automatic when I just have to go do my own personal things or like honestly, I have it all planned out as to why I will never need an automatic car.
I was going to say, you've given this entirely too much thought. Do I want to know how much traveling, how many miles you have covered in the past, we'll call it 365 days, but I think you know what I mean. In your past year, how many miles has Lauren Salimbene covered? How many airports has she been in? How many times have airlines lost your luggage? Just give me the rundown.
I feel you should have, like, given me this prompt before so I could have, like, actually calculated it, but I do
Calculated it.
have in my notes, I do have a whole list of all my miles. So, I have, like, if I drove somewhere, it's, like, car like, I do the car emoji to blank, that many miles. If it's the plane emoji, then I have the plane. I mean, if
Yeah.
I flew, then I have the plane. Like, I have it all strategically planned out. So far, I think I'm at 93,000 miles. So really close to 1,000 and or 100,000. And I actually am leaving for the airport to go to Miami tomorrow. So we're adding to them. I'm hoping to break 100,000 by the time I give up my title. I think I can accomplish it, to be honest. Um, how many airports? So I've traveled. I counted the other day. I've traveled to 22 different states. So at least 22 different airports, but I always have layovers. So, like
Right.
Chicago, I've never actually been to Illinois, and I've been to the Chicago airport a lot. So
Okay.
there's I mean, there's a few more than 22, I know that.
Right.
I've actually never missed a flight, I've never lost a piece of luggage, and I don't even have TSA pre-check. So I've been on top of it.
Hang on. Hang on. How has this happened? This is not fair. This is discrimination. How can you that what? How? Why?
I don't know. I've actually been waiting for the day for it to happen or like me miss a flight, but I always arrive hour and a half early to the airport. I've never missed a flight. I've always gotten through TSA in time and I mean, I always check a bag and I've never lost a piece of luggage. So I've been very, very fortunate this year, hoping to continue that success, but I might have just spoke that into existence and we'll
Yeah.
see. We'll
Yeah.
see what this next flight does to me.
Yeah, look, if you lose your luggage on your next flight, I'm just going to say, don't blame me. So there's a better than even chance, let's say, that you'll be hitting close to at least 100,000 miles by the time we get back to the Carl Perkins Center in a couple of months. That's. I'm just trying to work out how many times around the world that would be. I can't do the math in my head because of
Yeah.
conversion from kilometers to miles. But that's a lot of like times around the world.
Yeah. Lots of times in airplanes. Well, and sometimes, like, the miles sometimes really add up flying when it's, like
Yeah.
when you go from Nashville to Atlanta, when I'm trying to get to Salt Lake, and Atlanta just added a whole 45 minutes to my flight home. And so it was,
Yeah.
like, so pointless to even travel there in the first place. So that's where I think sometimes the miles really get you, the miles really add up, is when it
Yeah.
was just unreasonable to even travel that way.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's the way it goes, unfortunately. What's the best part? Because I got a bunch of questions here, which we'll get to in a sec. So we'll lead into that. And guys, if you have any questions for Lauren, whack them in the comments. I can see them on Instagram, but it's better on Facebook or YouTube. I can actually bring them up. But I guess the first question on that side of things is, what's the best part about all the traveling, and what's the worst part about all the traveling?
Best part is very actually niche to me because I won at 19 years old. This was my first debut as an adult, basically. And so it's honestly been the easiest transition into adulthood because I'm learning in the easiest way how to, manage my money, be smart with it, but also be able to travel to a place I've never been before and be able to direct myself, be able to get myself an Uber, navigate the airport, navigate where I'm going. Like so many important life skills are being taught while I don't even have to pay for anything. So it's definitely very much like that has been the best part is I've learned so much about myself. Now, the worst part of that is when I give it up, I'm going to hit the harsh reality that I do have to pay for everything myself. And I've just been spoiled this year. So that is kind of the harsh part of it. But my least favorite part about traveling, I get pretty lonely on the flights. Like the other day, me and my family were flying to New Mexico because my sister lives out there. And it was the first time in over a year, well, in probably a year that I had someone on a flight with me and sitting next to me.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, actually I lied because on the way home I did, but it had been the first time since I won that I had been on a flight with someone else. Like the flights actually do kind of get pretty lonely. Obviously I try to sleep through them or I'll try to do some homework while I'm at it because I'm missing school or I still have homework due on the weekends, but that's kind of the worst part of traveling itself. And then when I'm in a place for a long time, I do get a little homesick, but not crazy because I'm kind of just living my best life.
Yeah. Okay. Are you ready for these questions, Lauren?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. So got a question about interview because you did very well in interview. How was interview at nationals, at MVA nationals, different from your interview at state?
Actually, very drastically different. Not based on what was happening, like where the judges were or anything. I walked out of Miss Utah Volunteer feeling like that was the best interview of my life. And obviously being crowned showed that. At Miss Volunteer America, I don't do any research on my judges simply because I want them to know Lauren for Lauren, not like, I think you might like this answer. Like, I don't want any subconsciousness of like, they're going to like this answer because of who they are. I just want to be very transparent and just Lauren in the interview. So at Miss Volunteer America, did not know what I was walking into, right? So I walk into the interview room and they have like certain judge will ask a certain, like the first question. So it'll kind of like alternate for each interview. And I didn't know that one of my judges was from Taiwan and that she was fluent in Mandarin. And I've never had an interviewer or a judge who knew Chinese. I've always been asked like, can you speak something or how did you start learning? Like that's very common, but I had never had someone actually speak it. And she had the first question. And so hers, I said, hello, my name is Lauren Salimbene. I am representing the state of Utah. And she immediately starts speaking Mandarin. It wasn't even like you speak Mandarin and then went into it. It was immediate. And if you know anything about learning another language, you kind of have to be thinking in that language to even register that someone's kind of talking to you, unless you're like in a facility where you know that there's going to be people speaking both, right? And so I genuinely thought, like, I thought that something was wrong with me, and I was so nervous that I couldn't I thought she was trying to speak English, and I just couldn't understand it. Like, it didn't even register that she was speaking Chinese. So I heard the last three words. I heard Tangguan or something. Like, I only heard meal. That was the only thing, was meal. And so I was like, okay, I'm assuming she just asked me what my favorite Chinese meal was. Like, I'm assuming that that's what she asked me.
Okay.
So I literally, if you rewatch the video, I have the biggest shock on my face. Like, and so I answered in Mandarin, but I didn't answer the question. I just said, I don't know what my favorite traditional Chinese cuisine is. That's what I said. So all the other judges are like fascinated, like, oh my gosh, what did she just say? What did you just say?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, she asked me what my favorite traditional Chinese meal was, and I said, I don't know. And they were like, you could have literally just lied to us and told us that you said the coolest thing ever. And I said,
Yeah.
well, then she would know that I lied to you.
Yeah.
And so it started off extremely rocky for me just because I was so caught off guard. Now, the interview itself, it went fine. I just felt like that kind of threw me for a loop. And so the rest of it was like, I was a
Right.
little shaken. Does that make sense? And
Yeah. Yeah.
obviously, I'm thinking it's so much worse than it is just because you think the worst, right? And I walked out and I remember I just felt like I don't even know what to think of that interview.
Okay.
I don't know how to feel about it. Not that it was the worst
Sure.
interview of my life. It was not the worst interview of my life. And rewatching it, like it was fine. It was a fine interview.
Yeah.
But going off of state where it was the best interview of my life and really
Right.
wanting to feel like that when I walked out to feeling like I don't even know what just happened.
Yeah.
I got back to my hotel room. I called my mom bawling. I said, Mom, I just lost the whole pageant. I said, I don't
Mm.
know what to do. And she's shaking because she's like, I don't even know how to respond to you right now. You're very dramatic. And um, so then I'm kind of walking through the questions of what they had asked me. And I get to the one where they're like, what's your greatest fear? And I was like, of course, the most cliche pageant answer, right? And I had told him, I said, it's so cliche, but failure, just simply because I'm a firm believer that failure is never failure until you decide to quit. And so my biggest
Yeah.
fear is giving up on something that I know I can accomplish. And so I get to that question. I tell my mom my answer, which I mean, it's such a cliche pageant answer. And I told him that. I
Yeah.
was like, I know this is
Yeah.
going to sound so cliche, but it's honestly one of my greatest fears in life. And my mom goes, so then why are you so scared right now? And she said, you have 75% more of your score to give. So why would you let this 25% dictate your whole
Yeah.
outcome? And I said, you know what? You're right. So the rest of the week, I literally wanted to leave with no regrets. Like, even if I did not win, I wanted to say, I put that 100% into the rest of that 75%, and I couldn't have done more. And so
Yeah.
that's kind of where my mind shifted. After I won, I did get to speak with the judges, and the judge felt so bad for asking me. She was like, I just felt like I couldn't stop thinking about how bad I made you feel just because it was the first question and I had to ask the first question.
Yeah.
And they actually told me that the way I recovered after it, because they knew that I didn't feel confident in
Yeah.
it, they said the
Okay.
way you recovered was very inspiring. And so that is the whole reason why we crowned you Miss Volunteer America, is because you bounced back from something that wasn't even that bad, but it was obviously not what you felt you wanted. And that I fought for it. And so this kind of was like a long story based on your one question, but my interview was not the best interview of my life. And that is something that I'll be very transparent about. It wasn't the
Yeah.
worst interview ever. It was not an awful interview. I had very good answers in there, but that first question really, I couldn't get over. And
Sure. I get that. Yeah.
it was very different from my state interview, but honestly, I don't feel negativity towards it because that was one of the most challenging interview questions I've ever been asked. Not because of the material or the content of it, but because it challenged me in a different way of thinking when I was in the interview room, which I think is the whole purpose of pageantry in the first place.
I agree. Yeah. I mean, it sounds like the really difficult, it sounds like being thrown off actually ended up working in your favor.
Yeah.
Because it gave you a chance to show that, okay, I wasn't expecting that, but I'm going to bounce back from that and still give it my best. So, in the moment, I'm sure it didn't feel great, but it sounds like it worked out pretty well. At the end, I've had a similar experience. I was over in the UK. I don't know if you've ever heard a really thick Scottish accent from Glasgow. And this guy, I was at a pageant, he ended up speaking to me, and I was jet lagged. And I remember looking at him going, I think I'm having a stroke, because I think he's speaking English to me and I can't understand what he's saying. So I'm just
like your mind is racing 1,000 miles per second, and you're like, I don't even know what to do in this situation.
No. And it turned out he was speaking English, but just in a very thick Glaswegian accent. So I couldn't understand him. And I turned to my Glaswegian friend, who I can understand perfectly, and I said, what did he say? And he said, oh, he wants to take your photo. And it's like, okay, but it's a very weird sensation because you're there and you think it's English, but you can't understand a single
Yeah.
thing that's been saying. It's quite concerning. Okay, the next question. What does being a national title holder demand from you above and beyond what a state title holder does?
That's a really good question. I feel like honestly it hasn't been, I mean, it's been different in the sense that it's demanding me to be flexible and being able to fly
Yeah.
to a different state in 24 hours, right? But I feel like when I won Miss Utah Volunteer, I wanted to be nationals ready the second I won. And so my whole mindset was I'm not going to just wait for the opportunity to be a national title holder to do everything I want to do, because I mean, there's 51 girls on that stage. The chances of you actually winning, it's not like a, you know what I mean? Like there's not that big of a percentage that even gets to experience this.
Of
And
course, yeah.
so I just said, I'm going to do everything that I want to do. And so as Miss Utah Volunteer, in Utah, we had no connections with the Salvation Army, no connections with St. Jude. And I said, I'm going to walk in that interview and be able to say, I've done the work. There's no reason you shouldn't crown me.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I was basically doing the hard work that I'm doing right now, working with other organizations. I was working just as hard building the Salvation Army connection from the ground up. We got our first ever St. Jude connection throughout my year, and I was able to go to a world champion supercross tournament supporting St. Jude and meet world renowned like motocross champions and people from Australia and people from like the coolest people. And I was only a state title holder. And so I knew that if I was given the opportunity to be a national title holder, I'd have a larger platform to do that. But I think the level of work was going to be the exact same regardless of the outcome of nationals, because that was my intent, was I'm going to get out what I put into this. And I don't want to walk away feeling like I could have done this, I should have done this, I would have done this. And I think that that's why I was so successful at nationals, was simply because I had the mindset of if not now, when.
Yeah. It sounds like you were working like a national title holder even before you had the crown.
Yeah. So as demanding, I mean, I have to be very flexible, like I said, to be able to travel. I'm a full-time student. They asked me if I was going to take a gap year, and I said, in an organization that truly supports education, that's the last thing I'm going to do, because I want to show that you can do both.
Right.
And if we're going to advocate for education, I'm going to show that I can be in education. I'm pursuing my education, and that's the whole reason why I'm in this in the first place. And so I said, I'm going to go full time. I'm not going to lose my scholarship at my school that I worked so hard for. And so it's been challenging. I've made a lot of sacrifices. I feel like I've given up a lot of my, not all, but a lot of my social life to be right where I need to be, to make sure that I'm still maintaining my 4.0, to make sure that I'm taking every single opportunity to travel. And so I made my schedule where I was only at school on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then Friday through Monday, I was able to be in a different state at the same time, because I don't love online classes. So I still wanted to be in person. And so as much as like demands, I mean, there's always going to be something that's pulling you in one direction and the other all the time. I mean, in life, regardless of if you're a title holder or not, there's always things that it's like, I have to multitask this, or I have to, but you just make it work. I think you make the sacrifices necessary if it's important enough to you.
I mean, the next question is a good riff on that. It asks about how do you do work-life balance as a national title holder? I mean, I think you gave a bit of an insight to it. I mean, it sounds like balance is required, but there's some sacrifice involved, and it's a bit of a balancing act.
Yeah, it's really just how much you want it. So this actually was instilled in me a really long time ago, because I don't know if you know what drill is in the state of Utah, but it's a precision dance team. I can't really explain it to you because you just have to experience it. It's basically like if you were to know what a drill team was in Texas, it's that on like crack. Like it is intense. In the state of Utah, we are a big dancing state, and it's very competitive. So we have a high school dance team called the drill team. And I was on that all 4 years of high school. I was president my senior year, on top of being my Chinese class president, on top of being a religious class president, on top of maintaining a 4.0. Like I was dancing 25 hours a week on top of being a student. And I knew that I needed to mentally and physically be healthy in order to maintain the lifestyle and the aspirations that I wanted. And
Mhm.
so I needed my 8 hours of sleep a night, but I would be up dancing at 6 a.m. and dancing until 9 p.m. So
Wow.
I decided that during lunchtime, I would actually get my homework done. I would apply for all the scholarships. Like lunchtime was really my time away. And that meant I wasn't going to go to lunch with my friends. I really gave that up because it was important to me. And
Yeah.
so when that translated to me going to college and then me being a title holder, it wasn't much different. It just was a different level or it wasn't lunch at that point. It was giving something else up.
Sure.
And I've just been someone who I want to accomplish it. Anything worth doing is worth doing well. So I'm going to put 110% in. And if that means that I have to sacrifice something, then the thing I'm sacrificing obviously isn't important enough to
Yeah.
give up, right? And so
Yeah.
to not give up. And so I just really think if it's important to you, you can make it happen. Obviously, don't work yourself to death and listen to your body when you're facing burnout. But I feel like I've just found the most success in going full force because I'm only going to be this young once. And so while I have the
Yeah.
means, while I have the energy and the capability, I'm going to do it.
Do you still get to be as involved with dance as you would like?
Um, kind of. So the week I graduated high school, my university is a private university and we don't have a dance team, unfortunately. And so when I chose to go to this university based on scholarship, it was between two universities. One was I was going to be able to dance, and one was more of a business school, and it had one of the
Right.
best business schools in the state of Utah. And so I really gave up dance to do that. But the week I
Yeah.
graduated high school, I actually auditioned for an NBA dance team, the Utah Jazz dancers. And I'm going against girls who were on their collegiate dance teams or had already been with a different professional team. And I made it to the last round and before I got cut. And honestly, I am a very sore loser. And I don't mean that to be like if I had lost Miss Volunteer America, I would not
Yeah.
still be upset. But I know myself well enough that I get a little devastated sometimes.
Yeah, sure.
And I will be very transparent about that. But I wasn't upset because I was very proud of how much I came. And then obviously, had I been on the team, I wouldn't have become Miss Volunteer America. I wouldn't have become, Miss Utah Volunteer. And
Yeah.
so very grateful for that. But in that sense, I was only able to dance at nationals. I'm able to dance at a few pageants here or there. I was able to
Yeah.
dance at Miss Teen Volunteer America. And I was actually planning to audition for the Utah Jazz Dancers this year
Yeah.
because I will be giving this title up. And unfortunately, about a month ago, I got injured. And my foot has not yet healed, which is a very important part of dancing, especially at a professional level. And audition videos for the first round were actually due tonight, and I'm unable to audition this year. So kind of
Right.
devastating. I'm starting, it's healing in a way that I'm going to start getting back, especially because I will be dancing in June. But right
Okay.
now, going into if I made it past the video round to then go in person
Okay.
for a week while they do cuts every single day, I just know myself
Yeah.
that I would
Yeah.
push myself a little too far.
Yeah.
And then I may not be able to dance at Miss Volunteer America. So I knew it was
Yeah.
something that I wasn't going to be able to do this year. And that's something that might be later on in my future. I don't really count it out. But to answer your question, no, I'm not dancing as much as I would have loved to, but I do still get
Yeah.
my moments. And dance has always been a release for me. It's always been just a way of life. And so I know in one way or another, I'm going to end up back there. I am a Special Olympics coach and I'm coaching dance. So in a sense, I am still dancing,
Okay.
just on the other
All
end.
right. Yeah, because I was going to say, when you've given so much of your life to one, and especially with dance is not really a hobby. At least here in Australia, I was coaching tennis, and I was always jealous of the gymnasts and the dancers because they would be in there 5 days, 6 days a week, practicing 3 or 4 hours, and God forbid you ever complained about anything. It wasn't like the tennis players. I was thinking, if I could get you guys to train as much as those dancers over there, you'd be in Wimbledon right now. But dance becomes such a way of life because it's inculcated into you so early, the discipline and everything like that, and the culture. And I just think if you then had to step away from it, it wouldn't just be, oh, I stepped away from a hobby. It would be like there'd be a hole or a
Yeah.
void that would need something to fill it. But being a coach, especially a Special Olympics coach, that must be your connection still to that industry.
Yeah, it's very rewarding. It honestly feels like I'm giving back to something that had been so rewarding for me in my life
Yeah.
because I'm giving these kids opportunities that they and their families never thought were possible for them. And
Mm.
so, honestly, it's even more rewarding than being able to dance. And they
Yeah.
actually have their first competition this weekend. And I
Oh,
have to miss it because I'm gonna be on a trip, but my mom is going and she's gonna go
right.
support them. They're little our dance is the Pink Panther theme song, so half of them are Pink Panthers and half of them are detectives, and it is the cutest thing I've ever seen in my life. So I'm really excited to see how that all will go this weekend, but I get to live vicariously through them.
Did you put up a clip of you trying to choreograph that
Yeah,
dance? And I remember seeing you just
yeah.
kind of lying on the floor, looked like you collapsed out of frustration. What? I'm not a dancer, right? What's it like? How long does it take to choreograph a dance? And is it different because it's for the Special Olympics?
Yeah, it definitely depends on the level. So, like,
Right.
there's about 5 levels within Special Olympics, and I'm at the developmental level, which is kind of the lowest level, meaning they're gonna need a lot of repetition. They're
Yeah.
gonna need a lot more time to, like, get it ingrained as muscle memory.
Yeah.
But then it also means, like, I don't have as much difficulty points that I have to get
Sure.
to, which is nice. Just because these girls are 8, 9, 10, 11 years old.
Mm.
So they're still in the very early stages of becoming a dancer for Special Olympics.
Yeah.
And they've been doing great, but it is different being a choreographer versus being a dancer. I like to explain it like there's just some people that they are really good dancers, they're really good athletes, but they are not a
They can't
choreographer. And
teach.
then
They can't. Yeah.
there's some
Yeah.
people that are extremely good choreographers who they could not do what they're telling people to do. And
Yeah.
then there's a few special like unicorns in there, one of them being my coach that had been my coach for like forever. She is a phenomenal choreographer, a phenomenal dancer. Like she has had 4 children. Like I swear immediately after she gave birth, she already had her six-pack back and was able to do all the flips. Like she is one of the most talented dancers I've ever met in my life, but then her choreography on top of it is insane. It's so
Yeah.
incredible. And so there's some people that it just clicks. There's some people that are kind of on the extreme ends. I have never really been a choreographer. I was always
Okay.
just the athlete. So this honestly, if I'm going to get into choreography, it's honestly the perfect stepping stone to get into it and
Sure.
kind of learning. But it was hard for the Special Olympics just because I really had to think of like what are they actually going to be able to do?
Yeah.
Like what levels are each girl at? Because we have the athletes and then we have the partners. And the athletes are the ones with the disability. The partners are the ones that are going to be helping them, but are still like
Right.
the same
Okay.
age. So I have some girls who
Yeah.
are like actual dancers, actually dance at a studio, and then I have some girls who they're just doing this because they're in every sport in the Special Olympics. So
Yeah.
it was really hard thinking of like what are they actually going to be able to do on stage without me there, without me on stage with them or in front of them doing the
Sure.
things. So that was kind of the frustrating part of like, geez, I just want to do a flip in here, and I know that that's just not possible.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the frustrating part.
Yeah, not everyone can dance like you, Lauren. Just in case you weren't aware, I do have to ask. I ask all the dancers this: when it comes time for opening number at a pageant, and you've got people like yourself who can do flips and I don't know splits and everything else, and then the opening number is choreographed more to, let's say, I don't want to say lowest common denominator, but there are some people. I remember we had Caroline after MVA. And I asked her, can she dance? And she was like,
We practiced that in our hotel. We were roommates, and we practiced that in our
yeah.
hotel room. And
Yeah, but what's it like? So for someone like her and you're dancing side by side, is that really fair? I mean, like opening number, I read like waving hands, turning around in this. I mean, you must like memorize it in 3 seconds, right?
yes, but when they send the videos out, you best believe I learn it immediately. Like I'm not someone that's just like, I'll just learn it when we're there because we're gonna clean it forever.
Yeah.
I get superstitious about that, so I always learn it. It does come pretty quick to me, but I don't know. As a dancer, I feel like there's always more with the studio I grew up in, there's always more to clean. There's always more to perfect.
Right.
And so you're never really perfect. And so
Okay.
honestly, it's kind of just like me being able to get back into dance again, even if it is just the silliest little dance that I'm not even doing anything because I'm in a cocktail. I actually do enjoy it, especially when Alexa was the choreographer, because she came from a very big dance background. And, you know, so honestly, I wouldn't say, I mean, it might not be a little fair, but it's not like I just slack off in there. I'm going to
Sure.
work.
No,
I'm
I'm
respecting this
having
routine.
I'm having a joke. Which one is worse, Caroline's dancing or your singing? Because she said you can probably sing better than she can dance.
Absolutely
No?
not. Absolutely not. No, I don't like karaoke. Hates to see me coming. And I like to say, if I was a singer, I would be the most obnoxious person in the world, because no one would be able to shut me up. Like, you best
Okay.
believe if I sounded angelic, if I sounded half as good as Caroline, I would be singing all the time. People would probably have to get earplugs just being around me, because I would love to sing. Like, being a title holder, being able to sing is kind of like in another life. I would love to be able to do that, just because you get to
Sure.
go and sing the national anthem, and you get to
Yeah.
have so many events where you get to sing. You can't just like dance the national anthem. I feel like that's honestly disrespectful to even consider that. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I wish I was a singer. I would never even dream. Like, if someone said you have to do a pageant and you can win the pageant if you sang, I'd say I'm not doing the pageant.
Okay, but my experience has been people who are really bad at karaoke are the ones who love doing it the most. And they're the
I
ones
do
who
love
sing the
karaoke.
loudest. Yeah, okay.
It
It's
depends on who's in the room.
that's fair enough. All right. Final questions that I got sent. It's more of a generic question. Do you have any recommendations for your state girlies who will be competing at nationals in a week? Any general recommendations, tips, pointers?
I don't know if this is more of like going into pageant week, but I would say my biggest piece of advice is to don't wait until you have the title, because I think sometimes we get scared to walk into a room. We think, you know, I'm not the most important here, or sometimes it feels silly to walk in with a crown and a sash, and you just don't really feel like you belong. And so you say, I will just wait until I have a state title, and then I'll be like, then people will respect me. Then I'm going to be excited to be in the room. I'm
Yeah.
going to be myself. I'm going to be networking. I'm not going to be scared to ask for sponsorships. Just wait till I have the state title. Well, then you get the state title, and then the exact same thing's happening where you're like, well, just wait till I get the national title. Then I would not be scared to network with people. Then I wouldn't be scared to go into this opportunity, or walk in this room in a crown and sash, or just make a video in public. Like, I think sometimes we get so worried about what other people think, but also we just say wait until, and we're waiting for the right moment when the right moment doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So my biggest piece of advice is don't wait until you have a crown or sash to make the difference that you're trying to make. You can do it without a title. And I will, like, if Miss Volunteer America is the coolest thing I've ever done, I will be very sad. Like, I hope this is not the coolest thing I've done in my life. It's just a leveraging point to get me to one of the coolest things I've done in my life, right? So
Yeah.
I want them, when they're going into the state preparation, or when they're going into the national preparation, or just any preparation for anything in life, don't wait until you're perfectly ready, or you have the perfect title or the perfect opportunity, because they don't exist.
Yeah, well said. Just before we get to the final 10 random questions,
Okay.
is there anyone that you'd like to say thank you to, or give a shout out to, for supporting you along your 10 or 11 months, or even your pageant journey before that?
I mean, it really takes a village. So there have been so many people who have been so instrumental in this year that I couldn't even name all the names. But Scott and Allison, I mean, no one can fathom the fact that they are national directors. They are quite literally my best friends. I text them daily. I FaceTime them daily. Like, you wouldn't think that of a national director, because they are so busy all the time, but they
Yeah.
truly have been my backbone, my support system, my cheerleaders along the way. Obviously, we've talked about it, but my mom has been an integral part of just my life. But then also my Utah directors. I mean, they have spent countless hours in my living room while I bawl, feeling like I'm not doing enough,
Right.
feeling like there's always more that needs to be done, and I feel like it's intangible. But honestly, every person I've met throughout the year of Miss Volunteer America has played an instrumental part of what this is. When I walk away from this crown, those are the things that I'm going to remember. It's going to be the kids at St. Jude when I was running through the marathon that are holding up the signs cheering me on when I feel like that's the last thing they need to be doing. It's the people that I meet at the airport, the local title holders who are just so in awe that they're meeting Miss Volunteer America, and I just feel like I'm Lauren Salimbene, and it's crazy that they think that it's so cool because I just feel like Lauren at the end of the day, like those people have played a bigger role than I think they have, just because it's made my year what it has been. And so this would not be possible without every single person I've come in contact with. And I've just changed into the person that I'm a completely different person than I was when I won. And it's because of those people. So I don't really feel like I can name one specific person. Everyone has really just made my life, my last 10 months, what it has been. And I'm honestly eternally grateful for it. And when I give up my title and I give that whole, goodbye message, I don't think there's going to be enough minutes for me to really say thank you to everyone. So if you're seeing this, thank you.
Yeah, it really does take a village in a lot of senses. And I think pageantry in more ways than people realize. Okay, well, let's land this plane, so to speak. We'll finish with 10 random questions. Okay. Number 1, what is your favorite word?
Oh. Well, okay, recently it's been right. Like that's it. Like some people will say something, I'm like, right. And that's literally it. It's literally it.
What is your least favorite word?
No. I hate when people tell me no. They're so simple, but it's true.
Everyone who answers that question in the hundreds of interviews I've done, when they say the word no, they literally have a look on their face that tells you how much they hate being told no. So can I have an ice cream? No.
No. Like, why would I like the word no? However, I actually am in a growing point right now because I was in a Crown Talk yesterday, and the Miss Alaska volunteer said, I had a professor in high school that told me no stands for next opportunity. So it might not be my least favorite word anymore, but it used to be, and I'm growing, and that's a sign of maturity.
Okay. Number 3, in life, what gets you excited? What turns you on?
Honestly, when I get scared of something because I know something big is about to happen.
What about what turns you off?
So is this kind of like what, like my biggest pet peeve? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, going back to manual cars. Going back to manual cars. Inconsistent drivers are actually the bane of my existence. I cannot stand them. I am so passionate about this. I could talk about it for 10 minutes. Like, I genuinely hate inconsistent drivers because they don't realize how inconvenient they are and how their move might make me have to downshift or whatever. It's so annoying. But there's my tangent in the sum of 30 seconds.
Do you suffer from road rage?
Just a little bit, but I'm not that bad. Like, I'm not so awful that I'm like getting dangerous. I very much am a safe driver. I'm not going to tail someone. I'm not going to cut them off. Like, I'm not, but I do scream. I do yell at them in my car.
I'm just imagining if you're going along in your Fiat with your cheeseburger, doing your stick shift, and then driving past and yelling at someone, and someone goes, "Was that Miss Volunteer America yelling at me?" Yeah,
I hope no one ever has to see that.
When you say inconsistent, just so I know, you mean like when they stop a bit suddenly, or because there's a lot of things
like
that you
if
can
they
do in
cut
an
me
automatic
off,
car.
or if they're going up a mountain and they're not like let's say it's 30 miles an hour and they're going from 20 to 25 back to 19, and it's like, okay, now I have to go to second gear, third gear, and now you're making me go to fourth gear because we're going so fast. Like, I hate people that cannot keep a speed within the same range, because it is an inconvenience for me. And if you're automatic, you don't know. I've learned a lot of grace through driving an automatic because I realize what actually goes into it. I mean, a manual, just because I know what goes into it. But people with automatics that have never driven a manual, they don't understand really what it takes. And so it's very humbling.
Why don't you just drive an automatic then? That would be the
Because
next question.
No, we already talked about this. That is not a possibility.
That would be the sensible question, Lauren. If it's so frustrating, just get an automatic.
Well, it's not as cool and it's not as fun.
That's fair. Okay, all right. So don't set Lauren off. Don't cut in front of her. And for God's sake, stay at the speed limit. Number 5, what sound or noise do you love?
I don't think I've ever thought of this. Ooh, okay. I love the sound of, like, after a really long day when I'm trying to finish my homework and I'm frustrated and I can't, when I finally finish it and I'm able to close my laptop, like that, the MacBook especially, like that just closing sound. I mean, I hate staring at a screen, and I've had so many times this whole year having very, very late nights getting my homework in on time. And so the moment when you're actually just like officially allowed to close it is so rewarding, but the sound, like I have my laptop right here. Are you ready? Did you hear that? Or did you not even hear it? Probably because I have my AirPod in.
I was going to say, don't bang it shut.
I was like, did you hear it? No, but it was, it just sounds so nice.
That makes a lot of sense. It's symbolic. What about what sound or noise do you hate?
It kind of goes along with the pet peeve, but I really hate loud chewers. I just feel like internally it feels like a nail on a chalkboard to me in my brain. And this one's probably very common, but I love my mom, but sometimes she does it and I cannot stand it. Sorry, Mom, if you're seeing this and this clip gets posted, but I hate it. I genuinely cannot stand it. Like, it makes me go into rage. Talk about road rage, that's not a thing. Chewing rage, that's a thing.
I interviewed a young girl, I think from Texas, and when someone would chew too loudly, she would just burst into tears. That was how bad it was. She even hated the sound of her own chewing, which I thought was a bit
actually sometimes that's real. No, it's real, because if I'm watching a TV show and I'm eating cereal and my brain all of a sudden is just hearing me chewing my cereal and I can't even hear the TV, what do you mean?
So how are you going to eat the cereal then? Are you just going to wait for it to be a soggy soup and then drink it?
No, you just have to do it, but it is kind of irritating.
Okay. All right. If you could have any one superpower, what would you pick and why?
I just wish I could know everything. Like, I'm definitely a nerd in the sense that I love school. I really have loved my educational journey. I just can't really imagine myself without education. And I think knowledge truly is power. Like, you can accomplish anything if you know things, right? And so if I could have any superpower, it would just be like, not that I'm like Chat GPT or AI, because whatever, but like if I just knew everything, if I was basically like a dictionary and I just knew everything about everything, like imagine how cool that would be. I think it would be so cool.
But then there'd be no curiosity left, Lauren. If you knew everything in the world, there'd be no curiosity or wonder or no more growth because you'd know everything.
Well, then I'd just be learning things that I don't know. I don't know.
I'm just being picky with you.
Well, don't make that not me be my superpower.
No, that makes sense. What about number 8? What job would you most like to attempt?
Okay, now I'm sounding like a car fanatic. I want to be a race car driver really bad. Some days I feel like I'm very capable of doing that, but people might beg to differ. But I genuinely, like, I wish so badly that I had gotten into something like that sooner, because I think as a woman that's really cool, but also just being able to like race a car and get paid millions of dollars for it is insane to me, but also like that's so exhilarating, that's so fun, and it's such a cool skill. So if I could, or even just like motorsport, like even if it wasn't F1 or NASCAR or anything, if it was like a motorsport, I just wish I was in a very cool sport that is like niche, but
Yeah.
just electrifying, and then being paid for it would be amazing.
Oh, it's never too late to start. Just take some driving lessons. You already know how to drive
That's an
sticks.
expensive
You have a
hobby
massive
to pick up.
advantage.
It's an expensive hobby. I just have to get some sponsors.
Absolutely. What about what job would you definitely not like to attempt?
Probably being like someone that works in like sewage. Like that's just not me. I have a very strong sense of smell. And so anything where it's like even a garbage man, like that's not awful because you're driving and I mean it's not like you're picking up the garbage yourself, but like something where there's just not a pleasant smell to it is not something for me just because I have a very strong sense of smell.
So your superpower actually is having a very strong sense of smell.
Yeah, well, you didn't ask me what superpower I already had.
How did you find out that you have a very strong sense of smell? I mean, I don't know if I want to know the answer to that because there are some smells that we don't want to detect. But how do you know you have such a strong sense of smell?
Well, I don't know. I think I'm able to kind of detect like what I'm smelling. And then I don't know, like I just feel like oh, do you smell that? And no one smells anything. And I'm like, well, obviously there's a very strong sense of smell in here and
Oh.
you can't, whether it's like a good smell or a bad smell, like I can always smell, which might be a superpower in the sense of if there's ever like a gas leak or anything, I'll know.
Yeah,
But
hopefully, yes.
so maybe it's a superpower, but I don't know. I just anything like if it was sewage or anything that I would have to smell something that's not pleasant would not be an area for me.
That's fair enough. I'm just curious because I don't have a very good sense of smell, so I'm sometimes curious as to what actually having a good sense of smell is like. Anyway, final question, Lauren. If
Okay.
heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
I would like him to say, I know you. I think I mean, well done, my servant. That's always a really good one, but
Yeah.
I feel like I mean, it's not unknown that I'm a very religious person. That one crowning photo of me is definitely my by far my favorite. I praise the Lord for everything that I've been given in life, and none of this would have been possible without him and his hand in my life, him being my backbone, and um, I hope that I have somewhat of a Christ-like spirit when I'm around people and that I can influence them, maybe not even to go into a religion or anything, but like being at heaven's gate. I want him to know me and know that my work that I did as Lauren Salimbene on this earth was worthwhile and that I made some sort of impact and I made him proud. So that's kind of I just want him to say, I know you.
Well, Lauren, thank you so much for your time and coming on.
Thank you for having me. I hope it's not too long till we get to see each other again. I do remember, sorry, this is one last thing. I do remember after I won and I was taken to the DoubleTree, you were in the lobby and
Yeah, I
I'm being
remember
ushered
that.
in and you
I
come
remember.
up to me and introduced yourself and you're like, we'll have to do an interview sometime. And fast forward 10 months, it's taken us this long to get the
We
interview
got
in, but
there.
we did it. We did it.
We got there. That's all that matters. We
It's
got there
true.
in the end. You've
It's
been
true.
kind of busy. I've been busy too, so we made it happen. I remember the DoubleTree. The staff at the DoubleTree are something else. They were going through renovations when I was there last year. I don't know if they've completed their renovations.
I think there's
But
still like a little bit, but it's mostly done.
yeah, the staff there are something else. Absolutely something else in the best way possible. I'm going to keep you on the line for just a sec whilst I hang out with the audience. But thanks everyone for watching, and we'll speak to you next time. Bye for now. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you're a competitive pageant girl and you're after some high-performance pageant coaching, make sure to come and check us out at thepageantproject.com, where you can start your journey for free. In the meantime, follow us on all our socials at The Pageant Project. Speak to you next time.